I am a 41-year-old stay-at-home mom. 18 years ago, I was a graphic designer at a small advertising agency. I was young, full of energy, full of dreams, until I met Daniel. He worked in finance, a gentleman, confident, with a way of making people feel special. He pursued me for almost a year, with romantic dinners, thoughtful gifts, and promises of a happy family. I trusted you, completely. We got married after just over a year of dating. I quit my job to focus on our family full-time after having our first child, Jake. 2 years later, our second daughter, Lily, was born, and from then on, I became a full-time mother. I don't regret sacrificing my job. I really do. I love my son with all my heart. Jake is a smart, quiet boy who always gives in to his sister. Lily is the opposite, lively, energetic, and a bit of an actress. Both of them are the only light that helps me overcome the fatigue in my marriage that I dare not name. Daniel's career progressed very quickly. He often went on business trips, came home late, and gradually stopped spending time with me. At first, I thought it was normal. He needed to focus on his career, and I would be a solid support system. But over the years, the distance between us grew. The hugs became less frequent, the greetings were less frequent, and the compliments I used to receive disappeared completely. I started to feel invisible. There were days when I wore a new dress and light makeup, hoping to get my husband's attention. But he just passed me by as if I were a shadow. When I spoke, he nodded in agreement. One time he blurted out, "You should exercise. You look not like when you first got married." I laughed it off, but inside I felt like someone had cut me deeply. I began to doubt myself. Was I really so unattractive that I was forgettable? In this increasingly distant world, I still kept a habit, writing in a diary every day. The quiet pages were the only place where I could be honest with my feelings. In it, I wrote about Bella. Bella is Jake's girlfriend. They have known each other since the end of middle school and officially fell in love in 9th grade. Bella is a special girl, quiet, polite, with sad eyes, as if she has experienced many things that even adults cannot bear. I heard that her parents divorced when she was 10 years old, and since then Bella has lived with her mother, a woman who works many jobs to make a living and doesn't have much time for her children. From the first time I met Bella, I loved her like my own daughter. She was polite, gentle, and never made me worry like other mothers do when their sons start dating. One time, Bella sat in the kitchen all day, helping me bake a cake, just because I've never baked with anyone before. She looked at me with admiration that I hadn't seen from Daniel in years. I thought, if my son marries this girl in the future, he'll definitely have a good wife. I used to think so. Every Friday afternoon, Jake and Bella would study together in the living room. Lily would chime in, sitting next to me and telling stories. I would leave snacks, fruit, and hot tea out. Daniel rarely came home that evening. He had client meetings, partner meetings, and then impromptu meetings. But then, recently, he started showing up more often when Bella came over. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Wouldn't it be nice if he was home more? I had hoped that perhaps those quiet afternoons would help mend our family ties. But, for some reason, I felt uncomfortable when I caught his eyes on Bella. Not the gaze of a father or an uncle he knew. It's a different kind of look. Lily once whispered to me, "Why do you always compliment Bella on how beautiful she is, Mom? Every time I wear a dress, you tell me to dress modestly, but you compliment Bella no matter what she wears." I smiled and did not answer. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't dare to think too far ahead. I had lived too long in the family shell to be able to easily break it just because of a vague feeling. Until one Saturday morning. I was cleaning Daniel's office when I noticed a small envelope under the desk, halfway out of a drawer. Inside was a restaurant gift card with no sender's name, but on the back was handwritten, "Thank you for last night." I still shake thinking about it. No name, but the soft, familiar handwriting, like Bella's. I held the gift card in my hand, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my chest. Part of me wanted to immediately dismiss it. It's probably just someone teasing me, I told myself. But the text was so intimate, so real, and most importantly, it's not for me. I put it away quietly in my pocket. I didn't want to do anything rash. My mind was racing with possibilities. Maybe Daniel was having an affair? But why did the words make me think of Bella? I feel like a crazy person. That evening, I said nothing. Daniel came home late, like he often did. I made dinner, cleaned the table, ate quietly with Lily, then Jake. I barely touched my food. Daniel was on his phone the entire time, locking the screen whenever I passed by. It wasn't the first time, but I was beginning to notice these little things more clearly. After everyone went to bed, I quietly took his phone. I knew the password. I had used it before for simple things like checking flight info or booking a ride. My hands were trembling, but I managed to unlock it. I opened the messaging app. When I checked the recently deleted section, I froze. A handful of messages had been erased in the last 24 hours. I recovered the one message that was still stored in the clipboard. I couldn't sleep last night. I kept thinking about your hands. We need to be more careful. She looked at me strangely the other day. Do you still have the video? I can't wait until Friday. My heart sank. There were no names, but one line stood out. I'm going to wear that blue dress again, remember? I knew that dress. Bella had worn it last week when she visited. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, while Daniel took Lily to dance class, I went into his home office. I opened his laptop. The password hadn't changed. Still my name and our wedding date. A cruel little irony. I browsed the photo folders. They seemed normal at first. Work, finance, reports. But then I noticed a hidden folder titled Personal Documents 2. Inside was everything I was afraid of. Dozens of photos of Bella from her social media, and some clearly taken without her knowing. One showed her napping on our couch. Another was a short video of her stretching in the living room, Daniel's gaze trailing across the frame. I closed the folder. I felt ill. But something in me needed to keep looking. There was a subfolder. Inside were screenshots from a messaging app I didn't recognize at first, likely Discord. The conversation was with someone who called him darling and used a cartoon cat as their profile picture. Did you like the photo I sent this morning? Maybe we can try that sometime. I was so excited after that movie. The messages were vague, but the tone was suggestive enough to raise concern. Then I found an audio file. I clicked. Daniel's voice, calm, low. You're my good girl, aren't you? If your mom knew, she'd probably lose it. I stopped the recording. It was enough. I sat for hours, unable to move, my thoughts spiraling. I wrote a sentence in my journal and crossed it out. Is my husband involved with our son's girlfriend? Is he capable of this? I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, but the evidence, all of it, was right in front of me. I hadn't told Jake yet. I couldn't. That night, as I folded laundry in Jake's room, I saw his phone light up on the desk. A message from Bella appeared. Can't talk much tonight. Mom took my phone. I love you. Don't worry. My chest tightened. That last sentence, "I love you," felt different now. No longer just sweet words between teenagers. In this context, it meant something far more complicated. I started recalling everything, every detail I had once brushed aside. Lily once told me Daniel often asked about her friends, who was dating, who dressed too mature, who was considered popular. Once, Lily even whispered, "Dad asked me if the girls in my class were the pretty type." Back then, I laughed it off. But now, each memory slotted into place like puzzle pieces, forming a picture I didn't want to see. Daniel hadn't just been unfaithful. He had crossed a line. He had built trust, waited for the right moment, and taken advantage of it. That night, at midnight, I called my brother. "I need help. Urgently." Ryan didn't ask questions. He just said, "Gather everything. Don't lose a thing. I'll be there in the morning." I powered down the computer, stood up, and searched every drawer, every device, every storage box. Old phones, email drafts, backup drives. I found receipts for online platforms, hidden accessories, even 2 sets of outfits tucked away, one resembling a school uniform, another like a costume. I realized then I had been sharing a home with someone I never truly knew. The next morning, Ryan arrived. He didn't speak for a while, just looked at me. When I showed him what I found, he took a breath and said, "You need to protect your kids before any more damage is done." I nodded. There were no more tears left in me. The next day, I took Jake and Lily to school like always. No one noticed I hadn't slept. Daniel had left early again, a meeting with a partner from Singapore, he said. I watched him walk out. Crisp suit, tie perfect, eyes cold and composed. And for the first time, I didn't feel fear. I felt resolved. How could I have ever loved someone like this? I went back home and started planning. Ryan returned at noon with 2 portable hard drives, a clean laptop, and a new SIM card. "We can't stay here long. I need to get you 3 away from him." I nodded. I knew he was right. That afternoon, I arrived at school early. I waited outside the gate. As Jake and Lily came out, I called them to get in the car. Lily climbed up first and asked jokingly, "Mom, did you get the time wrong? Why are you leaving so early?" Jake sat behind, one ear still in his ear, smiling faintly. I didn't smile back. I spoke directly, my voice strangely calm. "We're going to Uncle Ryan's for a few days. Mom has something important to tell you." I saw Jake frown. Lily fell silent, as if sensing something. During the 40-minute drive to my brother's house, no one said anything. Not a word. That evening, I called the kids over after dinner. I still didn't know how to start. I had imagined dozens of scenarios, but nothing prepared me for this moment. "Jake, Lily, I have to tell you something, and I need you to calm down." Jake looked at me, his eyes starting to panic. I took a deep breath. Mom found out Dad was having an affair with Bella. The whole room was silent. Lily looked stunned, as if she didn't understand right away. But Jake stood up straight. "What? What did you say?" I felt his hand tighten. I wanted to reach out and touch his shoulder, but I didn't dare. "Jake, I'm sorry. I checked Dad's computer. There are pictures, messages, recordings. There's no doubt about it. It's been going on for a while." "No way!" Jake shouted. "You can't do that. Bella isn't that type of person." I teared up, but kept my voice steady. "I thought so too, but I saw it all, Jake. The texts, the pictures. Your dad not only betrayed me, but you." Lily slammed her hand down on the chair. "I knew. I saw you looking at Bella, like a pervert. But I didn't dare say, because I was afraid to upset Mom." Jake stepped back, as if the world were collapsing beneath him. I have to call Bella. She can explain. This is a mistake. No, Jake, Ryan said. You don't need to call. I called Bella's mom. She confirmed it. Bella confessed. She thinks she loves your dad. Jake turned away. I couldn't see his expression, but his shoulders shook. After a few seconds of silence, he stomped out, slamming the door. Lily sat there, shaking. I went to hold her. Dad is a monster, I whispered. Mom, I hate him. I hugged my daughter tightly, my heart aching. The next day, I met Bella's mother at a small coffee shop near her work. I didn't know how she would react, but I needed to talk to her face to face. I needed to look into the eyes of the person who had raised that little girl. She was a thin woman, her face worn by time and years of solitude. She arrived a few minutes late, looking stressed. I don't beat around the bush. I'm Jake's mother. I need you to know that Bella is having an affair with my husband. She stopped, as if someone had hit her in the face. I have proof. Text messages, photos, recordings, not speculation. I'm not here to blame, but to warn. My husband is a dangerous man, and Bella, at her age, is still a vulnerable girl. She pulled out her phone right there, said nothing, called. Hello? Bella? I want your phone. Now, no questions asked. I gave her some proofs I had printed out. Her hands shook as she turned each page. Oh my God, she breathed, so softly I thought she was fainting. I'm sorry, she whispered. I clasped my hands together under the table. I don't want to hurt Bella. I just want to keep her safe. And I hope she gets help. Because my husband doesn't love her. He's using her. She nodded slowly. I know. I used to be like that, when I was her age. On the way back, I felt strangely empty. I told the truth. I protected my children. I confronted them. But why do I still feel like I've lost everything? When I walked into Ryan's house, Jake wasn't home yet. Lily was watching TV, her eyes blank. I sat down next to her. What are you going to do next? She asked, not taking her eyes off the screen. I took a deep breath. I'm getting a divorce. I'm getting custody of you. And I'm not letting your dad near you two anymore. She said nothing. After a while, she leaned her head on my shoulder. You have to win. Don't be soft-hearted like every other time, okay? I swallowed. Not this time, honey. Not this time. The next few days felt like a war zone. Every sense was on edge. Every phone call, every strange call, even the sound of a door opening would startle me. Daniel still didn't know we'd left. I deactivated all my social media accounts, removed iCloud location tracking from my devices, and got a new SIM card. The lawyer Ryan introduced was a woman in her mid-50s, with a deep, decisive voice. I've worked with women like you. It's time to stop being afraid. She helped me compile all the evidence into a dossier. I saved everything: texts, screenshots, transaction records, even audio clips and archived chats onto 2 separate USBs. One was for my lawyer, the other I kept on me, like a small reminder that I wasn't imagining what had happened. At the same time, we began the legal process, applying for temporary guardianship of Jake and Lily, and filing an emergency no-contact order. Daniel didn't know yet. In the days that followed, he messaged me more than usual. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? I'm sorry if I upset you. Please come home. Let's talk. I didn't reply. I knew he had no idea what I had uncovered. 3 days later, my lawyer asked if I would speak with Daniel over Zoom while recording the session to capture his demeanor when he was no longer in control. We need to see his real face, she said. I prepared myself mentally. Ryan stayed in the next room just in case. We set up the camera, angled carefully. I sat calmly at the desk, heart pounding, hands folded. Daniel joined the call right on time. He wore a white shirt, his hair neatly combed, but he looked pale. There were deep shadows under his eyes. "So, you're finally talking to me," he said, trying to smile. I said nothing. My lawyer began recording. "Daniel," I said slowly, "I know everything." He raised an eyebrow. "Know what?" "Bella, the texts, the photos, the videos. I've seen them all." His expression froze for a moment, then shifted. "What are you talking about?" "I have evidence. You don't need to deny it." His face flushed. He leaned closer to the camera. "You don't understand. You're twisting things. You're just taking bits out of context. I heard the recording of you saying those things. Please don't make me play it." His breathing quickened. He started repeating, "Context. You don't know the context. You're blowing this out of proportion. You're tearing this family apart." "You did that yourself, Daniel," I said, steady and clear. "You crossed the line the moment you stopped seeing her as your son's girlfriend and started treating her like something else." He slammed his hand down on the table. "You can't take my kids from me," I replied softly. "They're not yours anymore, Daniel. You broke their trust. You broke this family." His eyes darted. He didn't respond. Then, without another word, he ended the call. I sat there frozen. No tears, just a cold, deep sense of grief and disillusionment. That evening, Lily came to me while I was organizing documents. "Mom," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something." I turned toward her. I remember once, Dad told Chloe, my friend, that she looked mature for her age. I thought he was just making conversation, but now, it makes me uncomfortable. "Have you talked to her?" She said she always felt uneasy when she came over, that Dad used to sit across the room pretending to watch TV, but kept glancing at her. Once, he asked what size jacket she wore. My heart clenched. Not because it surprised me, but because I hadn't seen it sooner. "I feel awful," Lily said. "Like I unknowingly brought friends into a place that wasn't safe." I hugged her tightly. "Sweetheart, this was never your fault." I decided to file a report with the authorities, outlining what might be concerning behavior, including my daughter's statement and the supporting materials. My lawyer told me a conviction wasn't likely, but it would at least establish a documented pattern in case he reoffended. Bella, for her part, cut off all contact. Her mother told me she was still completely convinced that what they had was real. She refused counseling, ignored help, and believed I had turned everyone against her. It broke my heart. I truly wished I could reach her. But right now, I couldn't fix everything. I had to focus on protecting my children. Daniel never called after that Zoom session. But I knew deep down, this wasn't over. Daniel never called after that Zoom session. But I knew deep down, this wasn't over. I used to think all the files, the screenshots, the recordings, that they marked the end. But they didn't. They were only the beginning of what lay beneath. My lawyer advised me to search every device Daniel ever used. "People like him don't usually keep everything in one place," she warned. "They always have backup plans." Ryan helped me go through an old laptop Daniel used during the lockdown. It didn't even have a password. That said enough. What we found was devastating. A secondary email under a strange domain, filled with communications I'd rather never seen. Dozens of anonymous accounts, messaging histories with strangers, hidden online activity going back years, hundreds of messages with young girls between 18 and 22 years old. The login history happens every night when my kids and I are asleep. There is a chat between Daniel and a user with the username SugarKitten22. You're only 18? Perfect. I like teaching people who have never experienced anything. Want to play student? I have all the props. I did it with my son's girlfriend. Are you as brave as her? I felt my stomach clenched like it was being squeezed. It wasn't just Bella. Daniel had done the same thing to many girls. It seemed like he used a recurring pattern. Approach, build trust, pretend to be a mentor, then slowly open up. And Bella. Just one victim in a long chain which I accidentally let into the house. It didn't stop there. While checking the corner of an old closet in the attic, I discovered a mini room. The camera is so small that if you don't look closely, no one can see it. Ryan took it apart and checked. Inside the memory card was footage from the living room and kitchen, where Bella and Lily frequent. A cut shows Bella napping on the sofa, her dress pulled up above her knees. The angle clearly shows someone secretly adjusted the camera to the right angle. I was shaking. No more anger, just sadness. Cold horror. Daniel is not just an adulterer. He is a dangerous predator. I immediately gave all the new evidence to my lawyer, who added it all to the file. She said that just one more victim's testimony was enough to initiate criminal proceedings. And then, Daniel counterattack. An email from his lawyer was sent to me and my lawyer. Our client claims to be the victim of defamation and deprivation of his parental rights. He has legal rights to his 2 children and requests to see them in a neutral environment. I saw this coming. Daniel play face up, trying to turn the victim. An old manipulator tradition, turning accusations into slander. He didn't mention Bella at all, just emphasized being framed and defamed by my ex-wife. I looked at the lawyer. She just smiled. We have enough weapons to crush his defense. Lily is becoming more and more withdrawn. One evening, I found him standing alone in his Uncle Ryan's backyard, his eyes red. I went over. Are you okay? Lily did not reply. After a while, she said, I think of my friends, how many times they've come to our house, slept over, laughed. Now I can't imagine if any of them had been looked at the way you looked at Bella. Honey, it's not your fault. But I led them back. I put them in the sights of a monster. I hugged my child tightly. At that moment, I understood. A child's pain is not just losing a father, but found out that the father was never a trustworthy person. Jake was less talkative, but he started go to regular therapy on the advice of lawyers and psychologists. One day it asked me, if one day Dad gets arrested, will Mom be happy? I was silent for a few seconds. But you will feel at ease. Jake nodded very slowly. I hope. He is trapped forever in the shell of lies he created. I know the upcoming legal battle will not be easy. Daniel will use his money, his fame, and his connections to try to protect himself. But this time, I am not alone. I have evidence. I have lawyers. I have the truth. I have my children. I have myself. A woman rose from panic to become a warrior, and I will no back down. After weeks of preparation, the first court date finally arrived. I sat in the courtroom, my hands clasped together, my eyes fixed on the door opposite. My heart was pounding so hard, I could hear it echoing in my ears. My attorney, Mrs. Henderson, put a hand on my shoulder and squeezed it gently. You did the right thing. Today, the truth will begin to speak. The door opened. Daniel walked in. I barely recognized the man in front of me. Light blue shirt, gray slacks, loose tie, a carefully choreographed appearance, the husband, both pitiful and repentant. He walked slowly, his head bowed, occasionally looking around the room as if searching for someone to support him. No one responded. He sat down in the defendant's chair. Across from me, I sat next to Mrs. Henderson, while Jake and Lily remained in the waiting room, as advised by their attorney. In just a few minutes, I felt it clearly. Daniel did not come to admit his mistake. He came to act. Daniel's lawyer was a man in his 40s, younger than Mrs. Henderson, smooth-talking with a sly smile. In his first statement, he tried to portray Daniel as a misunderstood and momentarily mistaken father. My client admits that he had a morally inappropriate relationship with Bella, but it was a legitimate relationship between two adults. There was no coercion, no criminal wrongdoing. This cannot be grounds for deprivation of paternity. I clenched my fists on the chair. He admitted it. But call it consensual sex. Not a word of apology. Not a word of regret. My lawyer countered, "We have evidence that the defendant intentionally approached Ms. Bella when she was underage, manipulated her psychologically, and illegally stored personal images. We have statements from relatives and friends, audio recordings, images, and access history to sex chat platforms. The defendant's behavior is a systematic pattern of harassment and manipulation."
The courtroom fell silent. Daniel bowed his head, but I saw anger welled up in his jaw. There was no longer any trace of remorse, just a besieged animal. Suddenly, his lawyer asked for permission, bring Bella out as a voluntary witness. I was startled. The girl walked into the courtroom in a pale dress, her hair loose, her eyes dreamy. She no longer had the sharpness or confidence of the first day I met her. It was just a girl lost, bewildered in a world she could not understand. When asked, Bella affirmed, "I love him. No one understands me like he does. We did nothing wrong." I looked at her, speechless. I wanted to scream, "I'm being fooled," but I know, every word right now is like the wind. My lawyer did not object, just asked gently, "Bella, do you remember the first time Daniel texted you?" Bella hesitated. "I think about a few weeks after my 18th birthday." "Are you sure?" "Because according to the data we recovered, the first chat between the two of you was 2 months before my birthday." Bella's face paled. She stammered, then turned to Daniel, who shook his head slightly, signaling, "Say nothing more." The whole court fell silent. After leaving the courthouse, I took Lily to Uncle Ryan's house first. On the way, she was unusually quiet. I asked, "Are you tired?" Lily shook her head. After a moment, she said, "Mom, I haven't told anyone about this." I turned. I remember 8 months ago, when I was taking a nap on the sofa, I woke up and saw my dad sitting nearby. Very close. He pretended to be working. But I remember clearly. He adjusted my pillow, and then his hand touched me, in a place he shouldn't have. I was suffocating. I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't mean to. But the way he looked at me, I'll never forget it. Tears welled up in my eyes. I tried to keep calm. "Why did you just tell me now?" "Because at that time I thought I was hallucinating, because Mom always said Dad loved me." I stopped the car on the side of the road and put my arms around my child. "You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." That evening I told Mrs. Henderson. She sighed, but her voice remained firm. "We'll add Lily's statement to the file, and I recommend that you have both of them undergo extensive psychological evaluations. They're not just witnesses, they're victims. I know, and I swear I will go all the way to Daniel can't hurt anyone anymore." The first hearing ended in a recess. The court ordered further investigation into Lily's testimony and recommended that my children undergo psychological evaluations. "This is progress," said Ms. Henderson. "The justice system is slow, but not blind." I went home in a state of limbo. No win, no loss, just suffocating, like having to hold my breath to live every day. Then 3 days later, on Monday morning, my phone rang continuously. Message from lawyer. Daniel did not show up for the next court session. Did not submit any additional paperwork. Did not answer the phone. I was not at home. No one knew where he was. For the first time in months, I feel really scared. A man like Daniel, not the type to give up. He's calculating. He's in control. What he does disappears, not because he gave up, but because he is planning something bigger. I called Ryan immediately. He arrived within 20 minutes. We checked all the bank accounts. And then, an alert from the financial tracking system the lawyer installed earlier turned on. Sub-accounts are drained. A quick transfer. Buy a one-way flight from New York to Bangkok, then connect to Phnom Penh, Cambodia. I read that name over and over again, Phnom Penh, but it felt like I was falling into an abyss. Mrs. Henderson called back in 10 minutes. There is no extradition treaty between the United States and Cambodia. If he actually left the country, there is almost no legal way to bring him back. I slumped into a chair. My hands were cold. Daniel has escaped. That evening, Lily passed by my room, was silent for a moment, then asked, "Do you think Dad will come back?" I didn't know how to answer. I knew she didn't need an answer. She just needed a sense of security. I hugged my son and promised, if he comes back, I will be the first to know. And I will never let him touch anyone in our family again. In the days that followed, my life was a discordant song. Jake still went to therapy every week. He didn't talk much about Daniel, but sometimes I caught him staring at his phone, waiting for someone to call. Maybe part of me still wants Daniel to face it, not run away. Lily started having nightmares. She would dream of Daniel standing at the door, smiling and asking, "Can I come in?" One night, I heard a scream. I ran into Lily's room. She was sitting bolt upright in the bed, sweat pouring down her forehead, her face pale. I dreamed that my father was looking at me through the window. I squeezed my son's hand. "I'm here. You're safe. I swear."
I hired someone to install cameras around Ryan's house, add fingerprint locks, and motion alarms. Every night I check my windows 3 times before I go to sleep. Sometimes I feel like I'm surviving a guerrilla war, not knowing when the enemy will return, not knowing from where. I began writing entries, personal stories. Firstly, for myself. Then I posted a few on a forum for women who have survived abuse. I didn't think anyone would read them. But then there is. One woman wrote, "Your story gave me the courage to file a complaint against my stepfather." Another messaged, "I was propositioned by my gym teacher, but I thought it was my imagination. Now I know. I'm not crazy. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but I know I am not invisible anymore." As for Bella, her mother reported that she no longer at home. Bella left and lived here and there at a friend's house. She didn't study, didn't work, didn't get treatment. She didn't believe Daniel left her. She believed I hid him and destroyed their true love. I love you. Love like love for a lost child carried away by a wolf. But I also know I can't save you. Not now. Late one afternoon, I was making tea when Jake walked into the kitchen. "Mom, I want to transfer schools." I turned back. "Are you sure?" "I want to live where no one knows I'm the son of the sick man. I want to start over." I nodded. My eyes stung. "I'll go with you. Start over. From the beginning." That night, I sat alone in the living room, the yellow light shining on the pages of my old diary. I reread the first paragraph I ever wrote about Daniel. He is the one who makes me feel special. Now I understand. He doesn't make me special. He makes me forget myself. But not anymore. I am Jake and Lily's mother. I am the woman who rose from the broken pieces. And I'm still here. It's been almost a year since I left that house. Now I live with Lily in a coastal town about 400 kilometers away. Jake is at university in a city further north. He keeps in touch regularly, but I know he still has a lot of things he can't say. I rent a small 2-story house with a red-tiled roof and lavender and grapevines planted in front of the porch. During the day, I manage a small bakery located on a street corner near the beach. It serves coffee, pastries, and has a small bookshelf for guests to sit and read. The name of the restaurant is The Second Sunrise. Because to me, the second dawn is truly yours. Lily went to art school. She gradually opened up, started making friends, took classes in drama and painting. Every time she laughed in the kitchen, every time I heard music from her room, I silently thanked her for We Are Alive. I still blog. What started as a way to share my journey of recovery from abuse has become a place for women to write, tell stories, and find empathy. I never mentioned Daniel, Bella, or the kids' real names. But readers, they understood, and they believed. One day I received a letter from a woman in Texas. You don't know me, but your story saved me when I was about to end it all. I survived because I read your words. They can take away your dreams, but they can't take away your ability to dream again. Thank you. I cried. It had been a long time since I cried, not because of pain, but because I knew I was doing the right thing. Then one Saturday afternoon, while I was wiping down the counter, the shop bell rang. I looked up, and dead silent. Bella. There she stood, wearing a light gray hoodie, her hair in a messy bun, so thin I couldn't believe it. I dropped the towel in my hand and walked out. Bella. She looked at me, not defiantly, not defensively like the last time in court, but as a lost child. Do you still remember me? Of course, I said hoarsely. Come in. I made tea. She sat in the chair by the window, her eyes glued to the cup as if trying not to look at me. Neither of us spoke for a few minutes. Then she said, You are wrong. I looked up. I know everything. I just can't believe it. Her voice broke. He left me, disappeared, without a word, left nothing. I went looking for nothing but an old email. You'll understand when you're older. That was all. I don't know what to feel. I continued. I went home. My mom wouldn't let me in. I stayed with friends, drifting around. But then one night, I had a dream about Jake, and I knew I had to find you. Why? I took one out of my coat pocket, black velvet box mall, put it on the table. I hesitated for a moment before opening it. Inside is a USB drive. It's a camera. He had it installed in our house. I didn't know at first, but after he left, I found it in a pile of old stuff. And there was something inside. You need to see it. That night, when Lily was asleep, I plugged the USB into the computer in my office. The folder has only one video file. File name. Private, beautiful, LQ01. I click open. The angle was from above, apparently mounted on a corner of the living room ceiling. I saw myself in it, sitting reading. Bella was curled up on the sofa, napping. Daniel walked into the frame, thinking I was gone. I saw him approach Bella, sit down on the chair, look at her intently, and then he put your hand on my thigh, gently, long. I stopped the video. My hands were cold. It's more than enough to prove he approached me before I turned 18. I call Mrs. Henderson. Send it immediately, she said. We'll resubmit the entire file. Wherever he is, he won't be hiding forever. The next morning, I took Bella to the bus station. Before leaving, she hugged me for the first time. Thank you. I have never had anyone like you in my life. I stroked her hair. The important thing is not that you were wrong. It's that you dare to come back. Bella nodded. She got into the car without looking back. But I know, in that last look, I'm grown up. That evening, Lily walked into my room while I was sorting through the new files. "Mom," I said, "I want to give you a present." I was surprised. "Why now?" She gave me a small gift box, wrapped in silver pink paper. I open it. Inside is a heart-shaped cookie. I did it myself. Above it is the line of text in sugar. "You saved us." I burst into tears. No more pain. But as gratitude, we lost a lot. But the most important thing, we still have each other. The video evidence Bella brought, of Daniel approaching her while underage, was considered the most important turning point in the whole affair. Attorney Henderson immediately sent the case to the prosecutor's office. We also filed a motion to reopen the investigation in this direction federal criminal element, specifically behavior storage, production of child abuse materials, and cross borders to avoid legal prosecution. This is one of the few legal ways to bring him back to the United States, if we can prove the federal crime, Henderson said. We need more than just a video. We need financial evidence, a trail of movement, and most importantly, his real name at his current hiding place. And then, something unexpected happened. A week later, I received a call from Robert, a financial investigative associate that Henderson hired privately, a former investigator for the U.S. Treasury Department. We discovered a series of cryptocurrency transactions linked to a virtual wallet that was created around the same time Daniel left the U.S., Robert said by phone. These transactions were periodically withdrawing funds from a hidden offshore account in Belize, depositing them into the wallet, and then transferring them to another wallet in Phnom Penh. I held my breath. "Are you sure?" 98% sure. The recipient wallet is a payment account belonging to a luxury apartment service called Valora Residence. We have sent a request to verify the tenant's identity, awaiting a response from Cambodia. I was silent for a moment. Daniel is still there, still transferring money, still thinking he's invisible. In the days that followed, I couldn't sleep at all. Every ring of the phone made my heart jump, but I wasn't afraid anymore. This time, I just want it to end. Jake called every night. He didn't ask much about the lawsuit, just said, "Don't stop, Mom." I knew he was still hurting, but Jake had learned to hide his pain to protect himself. Lily was quieter. She drew a lot, a series of black and white paintings about disappeared people. I saw a drawing of Daniel. No eyes, no mouth, just a lump of shriveled skin, hanging quietly on his wall. One day in the middle of the week, Robert reported, "Confirmed." Daniel registered the apartment under the false identity of Michael T. Rourke. But the passport photo is real, just the name is changed. The Cambodian side has forwarded the case to the FBI. From here, it will be up to the prosecutor to open a federal investigation. I clutched the phone. Do we have a chance? There is a chance, but it is very slim. He is in a country that does not extradite. The laws there are not as strict for crimes like his. I bit my lip. If the law can't do anything, then public opinion can. Robert was silent for a few seconds. I think you have something more powerful than the court. Story. That evening, I opened my blog and wrote a new post. My longest yet. I won't name names, but I will tell all. About Daniel's escape, about Bella, about the video, about the fact that he was still sending money through secret channels. I posted blurry photos of the Valora apartment in Phnom Penh, the e-wallet information, and ended with a call to action. How many women are being hurt by men like him and can't speak up? How many young women believe they are in love, but are actually being manipulated? I don't want anyone to live in the dark anymore. I won't let him disappear that easily. The article went viral. Within 24 hours, it had been shared more than 20,000 times on Twitter. An investigative journalist in California messaged me for an interview. An anti-trafficking organization emailed, "We've been tracking him for a long time. Thanks for speaking out." I know the quest was no longer mine alone. 3 days later, I received another call, this time from one Valora residence maintenance staff, voice trembling. I saw him. He lived on the 11th floor. He hung around the cafe downstairs, staring at young girls. I knew something was wrong. After your article, I called the local police. They said the FBI might get involved if there was a formal complaint. I feel like I just broke the last link. I sent all the information, evidence, and financial reports to the FBI. I don't know what they will do. I don't know when. But I do know. I did my best. That evening, Lily sat next to me, holding her laptop, hesitating. "Mom, I have something I want you to read." I looked up. She sent me a Word file, the script for her first play she was writing for art class. The name of the play is "The Person is Absent." I read it. It's about a family haunted by a ghost. No one can see him, but everyone is affected by him. And then finally, the mother decides to look the demon straight in the eye and says, "You have no rights over us anymore." I cry, not because it's sad, but because I know we have gradually stepped out of that shadow. 3 months after my article went viral, an email from the official address of the FBI Los Angeles field office arrived in Ms. Henderson's inbox. Title: Update on subject, Daniel Rourke, aka Michael T. Rourke. International monitoring status. I sat in my office, holding a steaming cup of tea, but my heart was on fire. The email stated that the FBI had formally opened a federal investigation based on 3 legal bases: production and storage of child pornography, crossing the border to avoid criminal prosecution, using fake identities to launder money through cross-border e-wallets. Although an arrest warrant cannot be issued because Cambodia does not have an extradition treaty with the United States, Daniel Rourke has been placed on an international watch list. Interpol Red Notice. Part of me wanted to cry, but I didn't. I just sighed, as light as being alive again for the first time. A month later, I was contacted by an NGO working to prevent child abuse. They had been following Daniel's activities for the past few months in Phnom Penh, where he had approached girls in vocational training centers, posing as a humanitarian investor. They sent me the photo. I opened the folder. Daniel. Thinner, more gray hair, but still the same eyes, a look that never changes. In the photo, he stands near a group of young girls in school uniforms, holding business cards. I looked at the photo for a long time. Then I wrote back to the organization. "Please, keep watching. If you need me to do anything, to testify, to provide documentation, I'm ready." I let him disappear once. I won't let it happen again. They pledged to continue working with local organizations and submit files to the FBI quarterly. The doors of justice may not close today, but I know for sure, one day, it will slam shut in his face. One afternoon, I received an anonymous email. No return address. No subject. Content: I still think about us every night. I don't believe you are a bad guy. They did everything to divide us. But I know, one day, they will have to apologize. Just that. I read it and deleted it immediately. No panic. No anger. Just felt disgusted. I know well, he is still trying to play the victim, as it has been for many years. But I'm not a spectator anymore. A year has passed. Jake was graduating from college. He didn't mention his father anymore. He had become a man in my eyes, not perfect, but stronger than he had ever known. Lily has just received a scholarship for writing. Her first play, The Absent Person, was selected to perform at a youth theater festival. I sat in the front row, silently following every line. And when it came to the part where the main character stood in the middle of the stage and said, "I don't need your apology, just get out of my life," the whole room was silent. I shed tears. I still run the bakery, the second sunrise. But now, every weekend, I open a special corner called Table 17 for the survivors. There, people who have experienced loss, abuse, betrayal can sit down and write what they never dared to say. A wooden board placed on the table reads, "Write to live, read to understand, and share to heal." I read hundreds of notes. Some were wet with tears, some were angry, but all were true voices. And I realized there are many survivors, quiet but resilient. On the last night of the year, I stood on the balcony, glass of wine in hand, looking up at the starry sky. I don't know where Daniel is. I don't know if he was caught or not, but I know he has no power over me anymore. I was a betrayed wife, a deceived mother, a woman left in the dark, but now I am the one who writes the rest of my life, and I'm still here, with my children, with the sunrise, with myself, the bravest version I have ever known.